So I wanted to share a story about the first jobs that I directed in America and how that all happened. I was here with the owner of Wicked Films, and we were trying to get this little hip hop film made, believe it or not. I can't remember, The Big Hype or something it was called. And anyway, that never happened. We came for AFM, and on the very last day, we decided to go and actually try and see some labels, and we went to see Virgin Records. And we go in, and of course, I take my girlfriend with me. I mean, that's how bonkers I was back then. But we go into the meeting, and I meet Lydia and Devin, and we hit it off. I showed them my work on a big 3/4 inch tape. Oh, this is the highest quality, you know, and just above VHS. And they introduced me to Jeff, and I walk in to go and see the president of the label, and I'm like thinking that it's going to be this guy with a shirt and tie. I don't know, and I walk in, and there's this long hair, like biker looking guy sitting behind me. Hey, come in, man. So we just hit it off, and it was great. And he asked what I was doing. He looked at all my work, and I said, well, I'm going back to England. You know, we're flying back tomorrow. And he said, well, I have this artist that I'd like you to work with, but he's in Mexico City. He's doing a Coca-Cola commercial over there. Would you want to go and hang out with him for the weekend, see if you hit it off, and da-da-da? And I'm like, sure, I've never been to Mexico. Sounds good to me. So I go on this plane and fly down to Mexico, hit it off with this guy, and we come up with some concepts, fly back, and we end up doing the video. And real simple deal. And it worked out great. They were all happy. And from that, Jeff and Lydia gave me 2 Divinyls videos, which was great for me because I was a huge fan of that band. And, you know, Michael Bay had just done their video, and it was, here's the next 2, and it back to back. And it was great experience. It was one of, you know, it was a real high point for me coming, not expecting it. And suddenly I'm doing the Divinyls 2 weeks into being in LA. And after 2 weeks being, I'm staying in LA, I'm not going back to London. I mean, it was just totally, everything clicked. It was, you know, I guess I'm meant to be here. So from the Divinyls job, amazingly, in came a Lenny Kravtiz job because we was at the same label, and I was already a huge fan of Lenny because I'd seen him in London at the Borderline, this tiny little club, you know, and with just him and his acoustic guitar a couple of years before when he was promoting Let Love Rule. No one knew about him. I was a huge fan. I mean, you know, big time. And this was right after Mama Said, I think. It was on his second album, and they had a video for Stand By My Woman. So I write a treatment, somehow, boom, we're doing the job. And it was him and a lot of models. It was all this beauty portraiture of women. It was a really fun experience. And Lenny at the casting and at the video shoot had a little video camera at the time, and he's filming all this stuff and you know, documenting it all. And Angelina Jolie was in that video. I think she was 15, and she ended up being cut out because she was too young. I think her eyes are still in there, but she had to be cut out because there was a lot, not nudity, but kind of portraiture of women covering themselves, and a lot of, you know, it was beautiful. You know, I was very proud of that video. But anyway, from that, while that was being edited in LA, I had to fly to London to shoot another job, and it was the first time I'd ever flown first class. So I'm tripping. I'm like, oh my, you know, on this Virgin upper class with my producer Nikki Bell, and we're flying back to London, and there's all these celebrities in first class, and I'm just, you know, it was a trip for me. And then I look over and I go, oh my God, there's Ian Astbury sitting there, you know, the singer from The Cult. Now, talk about fan. I mean, I was a mega fan of that band in the 80s when I was in high school. I mean, this was 1991, so only 6 or 7 years before was I a fan of The Cult. So I'm sitting there watching Ian Astbury tripping with Nikki going, oh my God. And he gets up and he walks past us in the plane, and he kind of looks at us and he goes and he walks past. I'm like, did you see that? Yep. And he comes back, does the same thing, goes, sits down in his seat. And we'd had a couple of glasses of champagne, so you know, our minds are tripping. So then he comes up and he walks up to the seat. I kid you not, he leans over and he looks at me and he goes, is your name Paul Boyd? And I'm looking at him like, I mean, I honestly, if you can imagine the moment, I'm like, yeah. It turns out Lenny and Ian had the same manager, HKM, Howard Cotton. And Lenny had been showing the tapes at the office, so Ian recognized me from the tape, and because he'd seen it just a couple of days before. So that's how that happened. But it was, you can't even imagine what that was like, because I'm sitting there going, oh my God, it's Ian Astbury. And then boom, he comes up and says my name. And it was just, it was a trip. Anyway, he sat down and we were talking to him, and he had a video coming out. He goes, I'd love you to do this video, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, but he already had Jesse Dillon in the pot for that job. So I was like, you know, he says, write a treatment. So I ended up writing a treatment, and we ended up getting this job, like out of the blue, while I was in London on post on one job, shooting one job and posting Lenny in London. Suddenly we were on a plane to Barcelona and we were shooting in Spain. in this abandoned spa up in the mountains that stank like rotten eggs. It was this beautiful old abandoned building, but it had mineral spa, and it was difficult to shoot there, but it was great. And we had to bring this Spanish bull all the way, from the south up in there, and it was terrifying. This little guy shows up with a truck, takes it out, everyone's like running, he's holding it by the horns. I mean, a full Spanish bull. And then I, of course, being a young crazy fool, had Ian with a crown of thorns like Jesus, posing with a gun. I mean, just I guess going for shock value in that time, but I didn't. It was I don't know, it was just something that came to me that we thought we'd do it, and we did, and of course it shocked everyone. It got banned everywhere. They ended up using the image for the merchandise, which was great, because it was such a powerful image, but it's extremely blasphemous and all that. But that wasn't even my intent. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking, let's just shock people. I didn't think about the connotations, or the implications. Anyway, so we did that. I ended up doing 2 or 3 more videos with the Cult after that, but it was the story is really about how one thing leads to another, and the kind of connectivity in the business. And for me, it's always been like that, and word of mouth, and making that connection with the artist is so important, I think, to make them feel comfortable, and to have that one-on-one relationship and the respect going backwards and forwards. That's when the vibe gets passed on and the word is spread. And so yeah, just from coming over here on a vacation, really, in one meeting, ended up solidifying me staying here, because after doing those jobs and Lenny, Jeff just kept feeding me work for a couple of years and kept me here, and got me on my feet, and then after a while it was like, okay, you're done, you're on, and he moves on to the next director. It was it was amazing. He'd done that for a bunch of directors, and I don't know why he chose me, but I'm so thankful that he did. And I'll always have respect for Jeff Ayeroff and the team, with Lydia and Devin, who are over at Warner Brothers now. But yes, that's the story, and I thought it would be interesting to share.